So, Raimi, what big shoes to fill in, and what an iconic role to do. Can you talk about the challenges of doing this, Freddie Mercury?
I mean, yeah, it's be easier to talk about the things that weren't challenging because that's the smaller part. Everything was challenging. He is obviously one of the most remarkable revolutionary figures in music history. So there's no time to even think about the challenges. It was just prepare, prepare, prepare.
Mhm. And you hired a movement coach and
Yes.
everything, even a vocal coach for singing? Or?
I did, yeah. I had to. You know, they never told me for certain whose voice was going to be at the end of this edit, so I had to get out there every day and sing at the top of my lungs, take after take, so I needed help doing that. Needed help with his dialect. So I worked with a dialect coach. I worked with a movement coach who showed me every day how to articulate his movements, not only on stage, but in his personal life. When he was in an interview, when he'd be just, alone at home with his cats, with Mary Austin, and then with the band.
Mhm. And did you do a voice coach also for the singing, take lessons in singing?
I did, I don't consider myself a singer. This was the first time I ever played piano in my life, and it gives you such immense respect for everything that he could do. I mean, we think of him as this great performer who could move about the stage, but he's singing. Obviously, the voice is unlike any other, 4 octaves, and then he could play the piano exceptionally well.
And in your research, what did you find out about him that you really admire? What personality trait did you like?
I think, the fact that he just kind of never compromised who he was and never had to be identified as one thing. I think he was revolutionary, especially in the time that we live in now, where we don't want to be marginalized or segregated into one thing. He stood up and said, "I'm me. I'm just me. Kind of take it or leave it." That was inspiring to me. But then to find out about his personal life was. It was so fascinating because there was so much about it I didn't know, and it's really nice to have scenes in the film where you really get to portray that and delve into the inner workings and machinations of this human being.
I like also the scene with Mary Austin and the relationship with her,
Yeah.
and when he was divulging about his sexuality and AIDS. So talk about that scene.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes as well because. The film does something very well. It takes you on this roller coaster ride of, getting to know a human being, watching them shoot up to stardom. Also, the struggles as well. But you don't just get the struggles of the band. You get the struggles of this human being trying to discover his sexual identity and wanting so bad not to disappoint this human being who is the love of his life, but at the same time knowing he has to come to a point where he respects her so much that he has to tell her the truth. And that's a struggle for so many people, and I hope that in some way that makes it easier for some people to talk about things that are going on in their lives, and then at the same time turn around and be able to be who they want to be and sing at the top of their lungs and rejoice exactly who they are.
Mm-hmm. And as a child, also he was bullied for his looks and also for his name. Can you talk about how much also could you relate to that, being an immigrant?
Yeah, I mean, one, just having those teeth, he was called Bucky as a kid, made fun of quite a bit. So, that was something that when I put the teeth in myself, working on this character, I felt the sense of already feeling insecure. And then not only that, an immigrant coming to London, not knowing exactly how he was going to fit in. I could assimilate or I could understand those aspects being a first generation American, and it gave me a way into his story.
Mm-hmm. I like also the relationship of the band members as a family. Talk about how close they were and how heartbreaking it was when he said he's going to leave the band.
It was It was a very special group of guys that I got to work with. It is, because we're still together. We still spend so much time together. And we started out with that iconic concert, Live Aid, on day one. So that forged us together in fire immediately. And it was relationships that we got to experience throughout the film. We ended up, you know, becoming so close. We would ad-lib so much on set, and it's something that I think you can see that there's a group of guys who have great chemistry in this film. And so when you get to emotional scenes in the film where, you know, Freddie has to divulge aspects about what's going on in his life, it's kind of moments where there's not much acting required, because we related and appreciated and came to love one another so much.
How was that Live Aid performance on stage, and how much did you feel the energy and electricity of the crowd, and what Freddie was probably thinking that day?
You know, every day we would do a different song for Live Aid for the first 5 days, but we did the concert as a whole on the last day with massive cranes, cameras everywhere, as many background actors that we could have, who thankfully were a lot of Queen fans. And you feel the adrenaline rush into you, and then you feel this, you know, something kind of out of body happen. And I realized that it was only the concert, when we did it all at once, that I could really get in there and do the moves the way I wanted to, because there's an adrenaline coursing through your body like you've never felt before. And I can see that when I watch Freddie in Live Aid, when it's really kicking in for him. It almost happened at the same points when I was doing it. So it's a human reaction that is unlike any other.
Thank you very much, Rin, and
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thank you. It's always great to see you.